Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination. And life is a journey, from childhood to maturity, and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination. Good morning. My name is Rivka Feinstein. Amy, Bob, and I, and my husband belong to the same Jewish secular community here in Cleveland, and it's nice to see other members of the community here. And if that's a coincidence, I have a few other ones. We are gathered here this morning to celebrate the life of Hyman Snell, who died at the age of almost 99 years. Much to celebrate. Hy was a husband to Ruth, loving father to Judy, Michael and Amy, partner to Millie, endeared grandfather to Jay, Jesse, Karen, Lauren, Marissa, Nathan, Ian, Russ, loving great-grandfather to Linus, Shane, Layla, Van, Evie, and Mac, dear brother of Harry and Sybil, uncle to Norm and Barbara, Judy, Steve, and Laurie, and more than a father-in-law to Bob, who was, as Hy called him, his art agent. According to Bob, he was like his father. Hy's companion at Stone Gardens was his good friend, Mikhail Reisman. Hy was a hero of mine as he was a World War II veteran. As I sat with the family talking about their memories of Hy, I was so moved by what he created in life. He was a painter. He was a sculptor, and I saw the work he had created. Some of the sculpture is museum-worthy, maybe even better than some of the originals he took it from. I found out that Hy lived in the Bronx. So did I. Actually, he lived in the building right across the street from my building. He and I graduated from the same high school in the Bronx. He did it a few years earlier. His daughters, Judy and Amy, talked about Hy's early life until his last years here in Cleveland. He was a committed artist. He was also not a kvetch. And he was a committed sculptor. Bob, his art agent, said that Hy would cobble together sculptures using materials from various junkyards, and they were beautiful. His calligraphy and penmanship, his granddaughters told me, brought him a job as a display artist for Seagram's in Long Island City. While living in Florida with very poor eyesight, Hy took on the task of building a 6-foot menorah and a sculpture of Moses for a local synagogue. As the children and grandchildren spoke, I knew that the information they had needed to be shared with all of you. and so I asked them to speak today, and most of them agreed to do so. But I must tell you what daughter Ruth and son Michael said of their sister Amy. She was the guardian of their father, and a very good and loving guardian. In his last 7.5 years, Amy was able to see him on a daily basis as he lived in a local assisted living facility. And Amy, your sister and brother, are very grateful to you. I have a long list of people who are anxious to talk about Hi. And I'm going to start by calling on Judy.
This isn't really about my father. This is just how I have come to think about where he is now. These things I know, how the living go on living, and how the dead go on living with them. So that in a forest even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels slowly off, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through those cracks. The trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it. In the spring, rabbits find it and build their nest inside the dead tree. Nothing is wasted in nature or in love.
Michael.
Good morning. Just want to reflect on last night. Last night at Bob and Amy's home, his daughters, his son, myself, and his grandchildren sat around, had a traditional Jewish Chinese dinner, and spoke stories about him and made toasts about him and joked for hours. I'm sure he was saying to us, do they think they planned this? Afterwards, we sat around and watched a video from his 90th birthday, all very pleasant memories. We watched stories again that were videotaped. It was very pleasant to watch. And I watched his grandchildren, 7 of which are here today, reconnect, have fun, talk to each other, as if they've seen each other every week. And again, I heard my father say, maybe they got it. That was my dad. That's my dad's memory. I remember him as loving family and thinking family was the most important thing. And I think the message I got last night, watching everybody together, was that he was right all along.
Okay, I can probably see that one. My father was a special man. He never read self-help books on the value of connection, being mindful, grateful, or optimistic. That was genuinely who he was, and those who knew him felt it. He lived in the moment, enjoying who he was with or what he was doing. He enjoyed what he had and didn't dwell on what he didn't have. My father frequently asked me, "Why am I living so long?" We talked together about what may have contributed to his longevity, and it always came back to his belief that he was a happy person, that he had loving family and friends, and had the joy of being an artist. My father had an energy and drive that remained strong throughout his life. He brought this energy to his relationships and to his desire to be a successful sculptor and painter. He would say, "I'm going to paint until the day I die," and he really came pretty close to that. My father told me at least once a day, sometimes more, what a wonderful daughter I was. I always answered, "You've been a wonderful father." As I told him, I will miss him forever, but he will always be with me.
Good morning, everyone. Imagine you're the artist. Paint a picture of a man and his journey. Husband, father, brother, grandfather, great-grandfather, father-in-law, uncle, friend. Yes, he was the father of the clan. Family was central to Hy's being. He certainly worked so diligently to create amazing works of art, and he worked just as hard to establish and nourish relationships in his life. Hy was as simple as the cookies he so loved, and as complicated as a pile of scrap metal transformed into a beautiful work of art. His love of art truly extended his life, and we are the beneficiaries of his long numbers of years. We'll remember Hy for his great sense of humor and his very optimistic outlook of life. Our memories of Hy will be as long-lasting as the art he leaves us with. Anyone who knew Hy was familiar with his devotion to art. A phrase from a documentary about Hy, which Hy turned into a song, went like this: I love to paint, and when I'm painting, I'm happy. Happy as can be, and that's a good thing for me. Yes, we have all lost a friend, but Hy remains with us in so many ways. Hy, may you rest in peace. Yet somehow I can't picture Hy resting wherever he is. He just wasn't built that way.
Jessie will read something that someone else wrote?
Yes.
2 things.
Yes.
Thank you.
So this first one is from Judy and Stephen Knoll, and Judy is a niece of Uncle Hy. So Uncle Hy was a model uncle. He was always so full of joy. Stephen says when he met Uncle Hy, he immediately felt like a member of the family. I remember Uncle Hy picking me up when I was a little kid so I could spend the night. And I remember the Hanukkah parties where we piled into the car and he drove us around the neighborhood looking at Christmas lights. I remember him telling me where Santa got his power. If you don't know, it's from the times when the lights went out in the trains. We bragged about his art and showed people his sculptures, especially my favorites, the horses. He was always a smiling and accepting person. I don't remember him ever meeting someone he didn't make feel comfortable and special. He was a special person himself. We loved him and felt loved by him, and we will remember him always. Judy and Stephen. And the next one is from his niece, Barbara Sussman. One might wonder what their footprint might be like and their effect on others. My beautiful uncle taught me about art and artists. He taught me to believe in the beauty of nature, people, and myself, as we are all extraordinary expressions of movement through our journey through life. He taught me not to be afraid of color and to risk the ordinary in order to have an exceptional life. You might think that my uncle and I had a long philosophical conversation, but we didn't. We told jokes and sang songs, and we always said at the end of any visit or conversation that we loved each other. I remember sitting in Greenwich Village, 10th and University to be exact, eating Italian food from the festivals, while I watched, listened, and learned the gift of gab. My uncle was great at it, but the most precious gift my uncle gave me was unconditional love. One of my favorite memories was catching my uncle raiding the refrigerator at 3 a.m. He was like a little kid smacking his lips as he devoured a chocolate shake that my cousin Amy had made especially for him. I could never tell him that it was Ensure. Uncle Hy said that he was a lucky man. He would say that he had a wonderful family and any day he could do art was a great day. He believed he was a blessed man. I believe we were the ones blessed to have him in our lives.
Your favorite niece from Arizona and your only niece from Arizona. Love, Barbara.
Grandson Nate.
Hello. Thank you for coming. They made a commercial and an advertisement about this man. And if I remember correctly, it was only supposed to be a small thing that they came to shoot some film for a couple days, but ended up staying so much longer because they were enthralled and intrigued by this man who embraced getting older. But little did they know that he embraced life from a young age. He took me in as a grandchild, even though I'm not a blood relative. You know, I'm proud to be a kinslinger, but I'm also very proud to be a Snell. And one of the things I remember most was fishing in Jupiter, Florida with Hy. I just want to share this with you. And he would take me to the pier while you guys were spending time with your mother. And in that time in my life, I was kind of all over the place. Maybe not the best child, but he never talked about that. He just talked about what was good about me. And he did that about everybody. And you'd never hear a bad word from Hy. Just what he liked about somebody or what he enjoyed about what he was doing and the experiences he was sharing with you. So I hope we can all remember that.
Grandson Jay.
Thank you for coming. It's hard to be sad about Papa, just because he gave so much advice, and so much of it came from the heart. He always approached things kind of jokingly. I would tell him problems, like, Papa, I don't believe in capitalism. And he'd be like, well, that's fine, just get a job. He was always there for me. He literally taught me how to ride a bike. He was my best man at my first wedding. For me, Papa, like, he loved being called Papa. Sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Within my lifetime, he would refer to himself as father of the clan. He was right. Papa was also very much like a father to me. His loyalty was ultimate. Papa gave me so much generosity. It encouraged me to push any doubt I thought away. I value he lived for me and always excited to share himself with me. Papa is my past and my future. We shared a connection and understanding that goes beyond words. We're like friends from different times. We have the same hands and dreams and hopes. We both found art to talk with each other and communicate with each other. Definitely a special language we share. We share a duty, a love, and responsibility to art that we've committed our lives to. I'm so proud of him. I really hope to find the courage that he had, and he could live fearlessly. He was so happy never to give up. Papa taught me to be dedicated, to work hard, to focus, to persevere, to hope, to find surprise, and ultimately transforming dreams into vision and action and creation. Papa is my hero. He inspires me to commit myself to my art, wonder, and kindness. Papa approached each day looking for beauty, creating joy and connection. In his cheerful week, he was a relentless force of giving. Papa's joy was childlike, a humor that welcomed you to join in, to be included, like a hug that he gave himself fully. Papa's enthusiasm for simple pleasures and optimism worked to support his greatest creation, his family. He was proud of you for who you are and who you want to be, expressing all the potential and kindness and selflessly, continually loving you. Papa's greatest gift was his ability to love. Connected people, joy and beauty. I will always be thinking of Papa and reminded to follow his gifts and passions and exploration and search for creating things. I love you, Papa.
Granddaughter Lauren has a video.
I'm pretty sure that whenever anyone thinks about Grandpa High, his art comes to mind. Many of us are lucky to have his works in our home, and we always have our faces as striking reminders of his rare talent and his passion. My grandpa could literally take scraps from a junkyard and transform them into something breathtaking. I remember as a child him taking me out back to his pile. He let me pick out all my own scraps, and he taught me how to sculpt. Losing his sight did not stop my grandpa. It might have changed the style of his art a little bit, but it didn't change his passion for art, and it didn't change his passion for life. Watching Grandpa create masterpieces, paintings, abstract paintings with my children is a memory that I will always carry with me. Grandpa's passion was art, but his truest love was his family. He was so proud of his family. And I think like how he could see beauty and light in art, he saw beauty and light in us.
Granddaughter Marissa.
Good morning. Grandpa High was what I called him. Pop'em to some, Papa to others, Dad to some, uncle, friend. And some of the most fond memories I have are him being my art instructor, my professional kite flyer, and I think about him sitting at my kitchen table with me for hours on end just teaching me how to draw. And he was so patient, and he would teach me every little detail and the importance of strategies and patience and the importance of taking a break to have a cookie or two. And I think that, as I mentioned yesterday, when all of the family, the grandchildren, were together reminiscing about Grandpa, he's taught us all something very important, which is the power of a very positive attitude. And I know that that is something that he wants us all to carry with us. So in addition to teaching me my love for art, my love for cookies, and my love for naps, I think he's given us all that wonderful, wonderful skill of staying positive even throughout the hardest of times. So I love you, Grandpa.
Grandson Ian.
Good morning. The thing about Pop'em is that he was always teaching you something, even if you didn't realize it at the time. And that's because he wasn't the type to get up and lecture or talk down to you. He was the type to teach you by example. And so he taught us to care about each other by caring about everyone. He taught us to make time for each other by making time for everyone. He taught us to persevere by persevering in life and in art. And he taught us to be passionate about life by being passionate about life every single day. And I know that as we remember Hy, all those teachings are going to stay with us because it was just how he lived his life every single day. Thanks.
Grandson Russ.
I had the privilege of spending a lot of quality time with Popham the past few years and painting with him at Stone Gardens. Popham was an amazing person in many ways, but I was always most inspired by his ability to adapt and to continue doing what he loved despite changing circumstances that were outside of his control. Seeing him continue to get joy from painting, even at 98 years old, was a testament to that. And it's a lesson that I will always carry with me, not only in my mind, but also tangibly with all of the beautiful works of art left in the family. I find it very fitting that a man with such a positive impact had so much to leave behind, and I think he'd be so happy to see all of his work and the memories along with it passed down throughout his clan.
Well, I was right. Now you know a lot more about Hy Snell than you knew before. At this time, I'm going to ask you all to stand, and I will recite the secular words of Kaddish, and you will respond with the word, "We will remember him." So please stand if you can. At the rising of the sun and at its going down, we will remember him. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember him. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember him. At the shining of the sun and in the warmth of summer, we will remember him. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember him. At the beginning of the year and at its end, we will remember him. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember him. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember him. When we have joys we crave to share, we will remember him. As long as we live, he too will live, for he is a part of us as we will remember him. Thank you.